PlayStation Studios has been busy as the PlayStation 5 closes out its first year. Throughout 2021, Sony's collection of worldwide development teams has continued to turn out acclaimed hits, reinvigorate old franchises, and expand with a host of acquisitions and first-party publishing partnerships. So, let's check in on the state of PlayStation's first-party studios. Before we jump in, a few notes. First off, we'll be focusing on PlayStation first-party studios only, so we won't be talking about studios developing third-party console exclusives or third-party partnerships. But hey, we didn't cover Housemarque for this very reason the last time around, and since then, they've been acquired by PlayStation. So, never say never. Bend Studios' last published game was 2019's Days Gone, and though reports and tweets from past employees suggest a Days Gone 2 was pitched, that particular world is currently not what the team has next in the works. Instead, Bend announced earlier this year that it is developing a brand new IP. No exact details are known on said new IP just yet, though PlayStation Studios head Herman Hulst did previously say Bend would be, quote, building on the deep open-world systems that they developed with Days Gone. As of press time, Bluepoint is PlayStation Studios' newest acquisition. The studio made a name for itself with PlayStation remasters and then tackled remakes of beloved PlayStation hits Shadow of the Colossus on PS4 and most recently Demon's Souls on PS5. Bluepoint hasn't announced official details of its next game, but speaking to IGN at the time of the acquisition announcement, Bluepoint president Marco Thrush indicated the team wants to work on original content moving forward. Firesprite Games is another recent acquisition of PlayStation's and also has a lengthy history with PlayStation, most recently developing the PSVR title The Persistence VR. We don't quite know what Firesprite will specifically be developing for PlayStation next, but this acquisition is one to keep an eye on. Firesprite is a huge studio of more than 250 employees who, according to Herman Hulst in an interview with GamesIndustry.biz, will be working on their own projects as a first-party studio. Prior to joining the first-party stable, Firesprite was hiring for 2 games, including a game-changing huge multiplayer shooter and an ambitious dark narrative blockbuster.
It's printing bodies. But they aren't human. It's just you and me, I'm afraid.
Guerrilla Games last published the first entry in its new acclaimed series Horizon Zero Dawn in 2017. It followed it up with a DLC expansion, The Frozen Wilds, as well as a PC port of Zero Dawn in 2020. Guerrilla Games has been hard at work on Horizon Forbidden West, which is currently set for a debut on PS4 and PS5 on February 18th, 2022. And though there's no other project officially announced, Guerrilla in recent years has been hiring for roles with multiplayer experience.
Let's see where this thing will take us.
Another acquisition this year by PlayStation, Housemarque's last game was Returnal, its biggest game to date. Housemarque hasn't announced its follow-up to Returnal, though the game certainly marked a new era of ambition for what the studio could achieve. And at the time of the acquisition, Housemarque's co-founder and managing director said the team was taking a well-deserved break before jumping into anything new.
My only hope is to break the cycle.
Insomniac Games has been putting in work since the start of the PS5's life cycle, launching Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS4 and PS5, as well as Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered on PS5. Earlier this year, Insomniac revived its beloved platformer series with the PS5 exclusive Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, a beautiful, charming, and fun showcase for the PS5. But Insomniac isn't taking it easy after all of that. While we wouldn't be surprised if the studio has more up its sleeves, for now we know to expect Marvel's Spider-Man 2 in 2023, and a full-sized, mature-in-tone adventure featuring another beloved character with Marvel's Wolverine. London Studios' last outing was the PSVR hit Blood and Truth. The studio also supported it with post-launch challenges for players to test their mettle. London Studio has been relatively quiet since Blood and Truth's release, though we certainly hope it'll put what it learned on PSVR to good use with whatever PlayStation's next-gen VR headset turns out to be. The studio appointed 2 new co-studio heads earlier in 2021, Tara Saunders and Stuart White, but their appointment didn't offer many details on what's next, other than Saunders teasing that their next project has huge potential.
average weekend, really.
The Malaysia studio is one you may not have heard of yet, and there's a pretty understandable reason. It's one of Sony's newest studios, and it hasn't been discussed much. Announced in 2019 to open in 2020, Malaysia was open to provide art and animation for Worldwide Studios' portfolio, and more recent job listings indicated the studio was working on a well-known and well-loved PlayStation franchise. Media Molecule has its hands full for a little while with its ambitious game, music, movie, whatever you want creation suite Dreams, which debuted in 2020. And since then, Media Molecule has continued to support the game with new updates and, just as importantly, support the community with regular spotlights and events like the now annual Impy Awards and Dreamscom. And Dreams continues to be Media Molecule's future, at least as far as we can tell, and its in-house developers are continuing to make games within Dreams. Naughty Dog brought the PS3 generation to a close with The Last of Us, and similarly marked the end of the PS4 with The Last of Us Part 2 in the summer of 2020. Next, Uncharted 4 and The Lost Legacy are set to be remastered for a PC and PS5 release in early 2022, packaged up as the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection. Naughty Dog hasn't officially revealed any other projects just yet, but we do know it's working on some sort of multiplayer game, which many have been looking forward to ever since plans for a Factions follow-up did not come to fruition for The Last of Us Part 2's release. And hopefully that wait won't be too long.
You can't hide forever, you know.
Nixxes Software is another of PlayStation's recent acquisitions, and the studio has most recently been working with Square Enix on titles such as Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Marvel's Avengers. Like the Malaysia studio, it seems that Nixxes will be acting as support to other PlayStation studios. PlayStation Studios head Herman Hulse said, quote, "Nixxes will be a strong asset for everyone across PlayStation Studios, helping our teams focus on their most important goal, which is to create unique PlayStation content at the best possible quality." However, no official projects or collaborations have yet been announced. Pixelopus is one of the smallest teams in the PlayStation stable, and most recently made Concrete Genie for the PS4. Pixelopus is working on a new project for the PS5, though we don't know exactly what it will be. We do know it will use both the studio's own engine technology and the Unreal Engine 5, and will also be made in collaboration with Sony Pictures Animation, the company behind Oscar-winning hit Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the Hotel Transylvania franchise, and The Mitchells vs. the Machines.
You want me to do that?
Polyphony is, of course, the home of Gran Turismo, and most recently released Gran Turismo Sport on the PS4, which saw updates long after its initial launch. While Sport was the only entry in the series on PS4 so far, Polyphony is hitting the racetracks again soon with Gran Turismo 7, which is set to come to both PS4 and PS5 on March 4th, 2022. San Diego Studios' most recent game was the latest in its annual baseball franchise, MLB The Show 21, which marked the first time the franchise was available on non-PlayStation consoles, through a new MLB publishing deal that saw it also hit Xbox One and Xbox Series. And this may come as a shock, but though it's not announced, we're expecting San Diego Studio to continue working on MLB The Show. Presumably next year's entry will be multi-platform as well. Sony Santa Monica Studio last released 2018's God of War, IGN's Game of the Year winner that marked the return of a long-standing PlayStation series with a new spin. Santa Monica Studio is next working on God of War Ragnarok, the sequel to 2018's Revival and also the closure of the Norse mythology story established in that game. According to job listings, Santa Monica Studio may have a second project in the works, but no official details have been revealed.
You seem like a calm and reasonable person. Are you a calm and reasonable person?
After starting the PS4 generation with infamous Second Son, Sucker Punch ended it with its acclaimed Ghost of Tsushima. Since its launch in 2020, the studio surprised players with a multiplayer component, Legends, and released Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut for PS4 and PS5, which included a new expansion set on Iki Island. Sucker Punch hasn't revealed what's to come next from the studio famous for Sly Cooper, Infamous, and now Ghost. But considering a Ghost of Tsushima movie is in the works and the incredible sales success of this new franchise, we wouldn't be surprised to see a return to the world of Jin Sakai.
What's a samurai doing on Iki Island?
The Eagle sent a scouting party to Tsushima. I knew I had to stop them.
Sony effectively shuttered its famous Sony Japan studio, restructuring it to only remain as the already existing team Asobi. That team most recently released the PS5 free pack-in and still best showcase for the ingenuity of the DualSense, Astro's Playroom. Team Asobi is working on new projects, though we don't know exactly what just yet. But as with other PlayStation studios, it wouldn't be surprising to see it continue the adventures of Astro, and not just because the adorable robot's head is part of their logo. Also, Sony, if you want to give Team Asobi the keys to Ape Escape, I really wouldn't complain. XDev is a unique studio within the PlayStation portfolio, as it works as a collaborative team with non-PlayStation owned studios to develop exclusives. Most recently, the team collaborated with Sumo Digital on Sackboy: A Big Adventure, Lucid Games on Destruction All-Stars, and the now first-party Housemarque on Returnal. XDev hasn't announced any new collaborations just yet, but earlier in 2021, job listings pointed to producer roles being hired for XDev to work on AAA games with partners, so expect to hear more soon enough. And that's a rundown of all the PlayStation studios and what they're currently up to. Hopefully, PlayStation didn't acquire too many more studios between when I wrote this and you're watching it, but if they did, you can bet you'll hear all about it on IGN's weekly PlayStation show, Podcast Beyond. And if you're looking for more on PlayStation exclusives, check out our breakdown of Ghost of Tsushima's amazing opening credits scene, or stay tuned to IGN for everything else in the world of PlayStation.